So, welcome today. This is going to be the Mother of Abundance. This is going to be week or month 1 of 4 months. We do the Mother of Abundance once every 4 months. It'll be a little different every time, but it's just something that we enjoy and calling in. It's a perfect time to do it today because it is the new moon as of yesterday. And so we're kind of past that darker part of the new moon. So it's a really good time for calling in. And we just want to welcome you with the Temple of Peace and also let you know maybe a little bit about what to expect through the Temple of Peace as you're navigating some of the things in the course or in the community there. So, welcome. We'll do a little clearing. We'll work on some things, do a practice, and then we'll post the recording for you guys to enjoy later. Do you have anything to add, Jamie?
No, that sounds great.
So I'm just going to call in spirit guides and just any of our ancestors and guardians, any of those that just support us, walk along our path with us, that they would just come and be present with us through this process, that we would just be able to continue walking this season in gratefulness and self-compassion, but also compassion for others, and that we would be able to just call in the grounding, especially in all the chaos of the world right now, and just be able to breathe a few deep breaths and just really come present. Maybe notice and explore some of the things around us over the next 3 months that really just bring us joy and love and peace. So I just call in some of those things that we need. And for a moment, I just want to clear anything that doesn't serve us. So I just want to start at the top of our crown chakra and just allow that to clear and just allow that light to come in. And as it's coming in through the top of our head, we just allow the light to just shine. And just each point, I like it to hit my third eye and then my chin and my throat. Bring it down to my heart, down to my sacral, my yoni. Just keep bringing it down until it hits the ground. And as it joins with the earth and the trees and the land, I just allow the light to just go up and down, just balancing, releasing, letting go of anything that doesn't serve. Just calling in presence, presence with this moment. Take a few deep breaths. Can you hear that, Jamie? Okay. Hopefully you can feel the vibration.
Like
A few more
abundance.
deep breaths, huh?
Like abundance. It's a frequency. There is a frequency for abundance.
Well, that was a good little clearing over there. Little
Mhm.
yawny yawny.
Mhm.
All right. So I'm gonna quit sharing my screen for a minute. Let's see, stop share. Then let's just talk a little bit about what abundance is. Why do we call it Mother of Abundance? And I think it's important. We kind of went back and forth, on the various pieces that we have as a woman. And the mother that we're able to call in through our maiden mother crone, she's the one who has a lot of capacity to hold a lot of different things. And she's really the one who is going to be in the background of a lot of our businesses because she really is the manager. She's the one who kind of holds it together, but also can provide this greater capacity to be able to hold abundance. And so, when we think about abundance, we often talk about the ability to expand. And in order to expand, we also have to be able to ground and be present with not only maybe our current feelings, but just our body, our earth, our presence. And right now, in this current astrology, we have 9 different planets and all their outer stars that have moved into Aries. And so it's a really, like, I think a lot of people are feeling the intensity. And I think we can almost imagine like this current world as like we're all running and there's the house behind us and it's on fire and we lit it on fire or someone else lit it on fire, it doesn't matter because the chaos is all behind us and we can feel the chaos. We are part of the chaos in that way. But we're all at the same time like running from the chaos because we are dumbfounded. We are in shock. We're all going through that grief process that's going to go through all 5 stages. And so there's these pieces where everyone's looking around and we're like, oh my God. And that is why I think Mother of Abundance is important because there are really important times in our life where we have to stop looking around at everything else and we have to really just kind of go within because the only thing that I can control is right here in front of me. And I've let my world get so big and so consuming that I allow it almost to consume me in that way. And I'm not meant to allow the world to consume me. I'm meant to stand in my strength and be a light in the world. And so that's really what this Mother of Abundance circle practice is all about. So, yeah, what do you want to add, Jamie?
The mother is she is the one that expands when she is pregnant or pregnant with the concepts and ideas that are handed down from the great goodness, as I call it, or the universe or God. And so, or the seed of her of her partner, right? And so she is from start to the end, she is in creative mode. She's creating and nurturing and expanding. And so when we go through this ceremony and through these processes, what I would like for your mind, your subconscious mind to allow you to experience are the areas where with the concept of abundance, whether it be money, finances, or anything, it could be whatever you experience abundance, the word abundance like, I want your subconscious mind to allow you to see where you're constricting and where you're expanding in the area of abundance. So I just planted that seed in your mind so that while you do all these processes and you listen to us talk, take notes of what comes up for you, whether it's resistance or sub thought or you're distracted, whatever it is, just make time during this period of time we're together to look at those little sub thoughts, look at the language that you speak to yourself, really allow yourself to have that experience because it's going to shed light on where your frequency is with abundance.
And one of the ways I like to do that is to just take a piece of paper and fold it hot dog style.
Mhm.
And then on one side, I'll have my positive, and on one side, I'll have my negative, and I'll just start kind of writing down things, that are coming up, even while I'm triggered, or,
Mhm.
I'll give it 3 to 5 minutes and just kind of write them and try to put them, is this a positive thing? Is it a negative thing? Maybe it's a neutral thing, so I might write it in the middle, but it's just a way to really be able to begin to evaluate where in your thoughts the words you use, Jamie, were expanding and contracting, correct?
Uh-huh. And I would say another way to say it is where do you feel challenged
Mhm.
and where do you feel flow? Like where do you feel stuck and where do you feel the flow as you go
Mhm.
through it, as you process the sub thoughts that come through? Because they're
Okay.
just going to shine more light on who and where you are in your frequency with abundance.
And so let's talk a little bit about the word lack and living from lack. So I think sometimes we think that if I stop talking about certain things, like maybe being broke or maybe where I'm not making money or where I am negative in things, or if I'm focusing on all of these pieces and I begin to just change how I think about those things, that I'm living more in abundance and not from lack. But I also want to mention and look at the areas where maybe you're living from lack in your life. And so this might look like I'm overwhelmed, I'm frustrated, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I work too much, I don't have enough time. I can't get it all done. There's not enough of me. How are we going to do this? Right?
Yeah,
um,
problem solving when you don't have the capacity to really divinely problem solve. Where,
yeah, it's
yeah.
It's not just like the abundance. I also think about, I was just today, we were talking about, or what I was watching, I think it must have been on social media this morning, but how when you move into a new house, if you imagine if you moved into a new house and you had to process the old stuff from the old people in the house and all of your new stuff that you just moved into the house, how overwhelmed you would be. And so there is this piece of really making sure that when you move into the new house, it's a clean house, right? You don't have to
Hmm.
clean up somebody else's crap from it. And
Hmm.
so looking around and really also seeing, where am I living my life in lack? Where am I keeping that thing because I might someday use it? And is that coming from an abundance or lack?
Hmm.
Um, Anything else?
No, in terms of lack,
Mhm.
I think a lot of us don't even realize that we were handed down thoughts of lack. We just adopted them blindly and then never called them out or really labeled them as lack. They just became normal, not enough money for the month, paycheck to paycheck, debt as a bad thing. So I'm talking financial lack. Like hoarding, saving things because we think someday, we'll need this. Um, there's a lot of programming there. So when you're done here with us, take a good look. It's okay to call out your lack thoughts. That's the first step anyways, because if you're in denial, if you look around your life and you analyze your life and you look around, most things, most problems come from a thought of lack. I don't have the love of my life. I don't have enough love. I don't have any friends. I don't have enough money. It's always something that is lacking when there's a problem. I don't have a good enough health, whatever it is, or energy. So really allowing yourself to explore where those thoughts are in your life and how they show up in reality. And then also asking yourself, is this really mine? Because a lot of that is coming from what we were handed down. So just a process that you will probably need to do after this just to get a baseline of where you're at.
And then before we move on, let me think some other areas that are coming up where we haven't quite um, accepted living in abundance. So even looking around like your spaces and your house and seeing where maybe you might need to cleanse some things. So, what are some of the best things that you can do when you're calling in some of the abundance? That would be making sure that your doorway, the the two doorways, if you use a garage doorway too, is cleansed, clear, cleaned, looks pretty and nice. If it's not refreshed every season or so, then this is a great time to be able to look at that and refresh it and be able to give it the time and space that it's going to need for that.
And before you move on from that, so hold your thought. When you walk through your door, the first things you see are going to set the tone for your energy in that home. So for me, I walk in my door and the first thing I see is my kitchen. So if my kitchen is just a hot mess, how is that going to make me feel? How does that affect me? So keeping that first impression of your home when you walk through the door, the impression that will raise your vibration immediately. Your rest of your house can be a hot mess, but really, if the first thing you see when you walk through is clear and it has clarity and is cleansed and it has all these C words and it has organization and you just feel like, that's the energy that you want to carry into your home. And you could walk into the next room and it could be like a project room. So you're like, oh, this is a hot mess, but that's fine. It's that first impression, that
Mm.
first energy you walk into.
Yeah. One of the things I love to do is walk in my spaces and say, how does this space make me feel? If it
Mhm.
makes me feel overwhelmed, it doesn't mean I need to deal with it right now,
No.
but it might mean that I need to make space and time this month to like deal with that. And then the other thing that is really helpful is thinking about things that you can call in. So if I'm ever trying to refresh a space, plants are really great to bring in new energy. You can think about different colors you want to call in. So, abundance works in red and green, I believe. I'll pull that up in a minute and give you the exact
Gold.
colors. What?
Gold.
And
Gold.
gold. Okay.
Mhm.
So, you can call in those colors in each of your spaces.
Mhm.
And then feng shui wise, I'm going to pull up a little sacred space thing here. So I'm going to share my screen again. And we have this in several spaces. So we have this, it's in our Mother of Abundance manual, and it might be in our sacred space manual too. But if you're looking at this, the front of the house is going to be on the bottom. So your front of your house is going to be on your bottom. And one of the things that I like to do with this is I like to take a white piece of paper, again with my white piece of paper, and I will fold it in half like this, and then I will fold it down and make like my little square, and then I'll make another square. And what that's going to do is it's going to give me 1, 2, 3 spaces on each side, and then I can kind of break it up a little bit more in the middle for all 3 spaces here. But then you can put the front of your house here, and I have like the colors that I've colored in. Let me see if I can find my one that I actually made for this specific house.
And when you do this, if your front door, so if you see on this feng shui chart, your front door is in the middle entrance of the bagua. This is called a bagua. You can and you say your front door is on the side of, like, at the front of the house, it's on the side. You just shift the bagua over. And so, and you do have to adjust. So for instance, in my house, I have a bigger space that is the knowledge and self cultivation, because that's my garage space, right? And then there's the middle, which is the entrance, and then the kitchen is the right side. So I just adjust my house to fit this. So there's overlap. So like my front door overlaps with the garage. So the career and life's journey is actually part of my garage too. Does that make sense? So you just adjust it for your house, how your house is shaped.
Mhm. And so, like, this is what it looks like if you put it on a regular piece of paper. I'll
Hmm.
stop sharing the screen for a minute. Stop share. Okay, so you can kind of see right here. So this is where I walk into my front door, and then I have my husband's like area over here, and then there's a bedroom, and so I kind of went through. And then I also have a 2-story, so I did it on my second floor as well, so that I could kind of see. So one of the things that I do is I look and I say, okay, this bedroom is whose bedroom is it? Let's see. Okay, that's Dustin's bourbon room, and there's like a fireplace in there, and Dustin's bourbon room. So one of the things I did was I went in when I was working with knowledge and growth because Dustin was going to school, is I put a plant in his office space, and then I also put a blue carpet in his office space to kind of call in some of the blue. And then for this area over here, which is my earth and partnership and marriage and self-care area, that is part of my kitchen. And so in my kitchen, I have like a little pink something in there to kind of call in some of that. And then what I also did was I took a crystal and I put crystals in my kitchen because crystals will bring rainbows to the energy and kind of give you some of that good juju. You can also do that in spaces that are not helpful. For example, I have 2 doors that enter onto each other, which is not good feng shui. So I put a crystal up in that area to just kind of help with the energy there.
So
And
why
then,
why does this matter? This matters because
yeah.
we before we build our temple space, which is our home, before we can even sanctify our space in order to manifest and create and raise our frequency for abundance, we need to deal with our spaces. And that doesn't mean you need to declare your whole house. So the nice thing about feng shui is that you could literally put the color that it represents in each room to start activating and balancing out each space and to bring it to the frequency of the bagua. And like Stacy said, you could use money in the abundance center, you can use crystals, you can use the colors, you just find a way to represent. And then test it, like really spend an intentional day putting a color in each room, putting something intentional in each room, and see if it changes the frequency of the room for you, even if you haven't decluttered it or created the space to be more sacred.
It's good to do too because like I have 4 kids, so
Mhm.
some of my spaces are in my children's rooms that are not always clean and organized. And so how do I deal with that, right? Like
Yeah.
so these are things that are just good for you to know. Like my office space is where I also would be able to receive benefactors. So sometimes if I'm calling that in specifically, I might just bring something to the space specifically to be like, okay, like I'm intentionally putting this here to call that in. So that's part of why I have this glittery pillow
Mm-hmm.
because it's sparkly, it's gold and silver, right? It goes on my green pillow and it just calls in some abundance and helpful people and good energy into my space. But so people see it, oh, that's pretty, but then I see it and I'm like, oh, look at that pretty gold thing, right? I'm calling in abundance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any questions about sacred space and feng shui and how to kind of like support your space a little bit to help you? Okay, good. Let's see. Okay. So, do we want to start this practice first, Jamie?
I
Good.
think it's a good idea.
Okay. So, the first practice is again what we were talking about. So, you're going to need a piece of paper. You're going to fold it in half. And I would recommend one side being your negative feelings and one side being your more positive feelings. And
Mhm.
so you're going to be thinking in the negative feelings, like, what are the actions, thoughts, and feelings I have that are not supporting me? And then on the ones that are, what are the actions, thoughts, and feelings that are supporting me? Okay. So if it's supporting me, it looks like free flow. It looks like calling in. It looks like, good words, sweet words. If it's not supporting you, it's going to look like self-doubt. It's going to look like worry, um, distractions, habits, obligations, responsibilities even go under there sometimes. And then think about maybe the unintentional thoughts like, my husband says all the time, we can't afford that, we can't afford that, we can't afford that. So think about some of those kinds of thoughts that you might have.
And so, allowing your mind, so start writing, but allow your mind to just feed you over time, over this process, because once you get that ball rolling, your mind will take over and you'll just be jamming with it. But the biggest thing is, if you really want to get deep with this, pick some area of abundance that you feel you would really like to work on. So if it's finances, great. If it's love, great. If it's friendships, great. If it's business, great. Just pick health, whatever. Pick one area of focus and roll with it, or you could just do a general. But the best way to do this practice is just to start with one and really dig deep. And I think we'll give them about 5 minutes to just really free flow it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. And don't judge it. Just write it out. Don't put thought to any of the things you're writing. Just don't, yeah, observe, don't judge. All right.
You're muted.
How did that go?
So I got through just the negative. Now we move to the positive.
Oh, you got through just the negative?
Yes. And to be clear, the positive is looking at areas that are abundant in your life, really digging into the abundance that you do see and experience.
Okay.
And even rewriting some of the old beliefs, the lack beliefs into something new.
So that looks like,
Doubt. So I have doubt here. I would write trust. You could look through
mhm.
what would be a better feeling word. The more that you activate these words that are a better feeling, the more your frequency is just raising from the action of writing them down because they have frequency.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
I'll push play again.
And it could also be I am statements. I am abundant. I am.
1 more minute. How'd that go? Yeah, it went good. How did it go, Jamie?
It was really good because, as much as we teach that divine feminine wealth is our birthright and abundance is our birthright on this planet, we came here to create things in 3D world, in this world, and manifest. Sometimes we get stuck because the reality we look around and it's not necessarily what we had imagined or thought we were creating.
Hmm.
And so going through and brain dumping all the negativity, and then going through, by the time I got done with the positives, I was feeling the feeling of abundance. Because when we manifest in this world, we want to feel the feeling of it in order to create it and stay in that frequency as much as we can. And I was able to just really let go and get out of that negative mindset for myself, because right now I'm dealing with something. So out of that negative mindset, and then reinventing myself a bit in my subconscious.
Hmm.
So that was good. It was good for me. I needed that today.
Well, and so what does divine feminine wealth mean? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Divine feminine wealth is our birthright, as the divine feminine came here to create. And we cannot create from lack at all. There is no, the creations from lack is life not in flow. It's life just handing us whatever life is giving us, instead of having intentionality with it and being intentional with what we're creating. So if we look at divine feminine wealth as our birthright, and this is not necessarily just money, this is anything, our dreams, our feelings, our emotions, peace, health, um, gratitude.
Hmm.
If we are not seeing that in our present moment, and there's feelings of lack in any area of creation that we came here to do, then it's not for us to dwell in it. It's for us to just change it, take time with it, acknowledge it, because as divine feminine, we are not the hustle culture. We're not the divine masculine pushing through and breaking through our blocks. We are actually giving that part of ourselves, that shadowy side, a moment to express exactly the core issue, the core feeling, the
Hmm.
core whatever it is, so that we can heal it permanently and in a way that's sustainable, so we can have our divine feminine wealth. So that's kind of how I see divine feminine wealth.
Hmm. Yeah, I think when we think of divine feminine, we have to think about kind of like the state of our world, right? And then we have to think about
Yeah.
like how it would be different if we all were in it, right? And there
Um,
is this aspect of accumulation, but then also in being able to provide for others. And so, matriarchal abundance is different in that way. It is rooted in connection, and it's rooted in purpose, and it's rooted in managing so that all are able to benefit from it. And so I think that that's very different than, the commercial world we obviously live in, right?
Mhm.
So I think there's also this idea too of women not supposed to be having money.
Yes.
There's this idea, right? But like, where we don't know how to manage money, or we don't know how to trade with money, or we don't know how to embody the energy of money. And so it's just something that should be handled for us because we're
Mhm.
just, frivolous human beings who don't know how to handle anything because we're so emotional. And that's really not the truth. The truth is that when we handle money, we usually handle it in a way that has more emotional intelligence, but also more innovation and alignment with the needs of everyone, not just the needs of the one. So, how can we call in more of this abundance in our life? And one of the biggest ways to call in abundance in your life as a woman is creativity, fun, things that are going to call in fun. And this goes for calling in abundance in your relationships and calling in abundance in your finances. Because when you're doing things that you used to find fun, you begin to tap into the infinite source of potential and possibility. And you also are working within your hormones. And so, women who are often in perimenopause and menopause or past that point don't have a lot of those happy hormones left to sustain them during the day. And so, doing things that are fun and artsy, creative, things that are going to bring you joy is going to help the financial abundance flow because you're going to be living in this place of worth and joy, excitement, and fun. And it's also going to help those hormones be able to, be created in the brain, the happy hormone, because, we are meant to be living in this more harmonious way. So, yeah, does that make
And
sense?
yes, and balancing our emotions. We are emotional beings and we create from our emotional state. finding a way that works for you that will balance that. And if we're going to take it to, okay, we're going to start with like the 3D world, or this world, this tangible world that we live in right now. That would mean putting our feet in the dirt or sand, swimming in a body of water, taking a bath that's nutri nutritionally supportive of our body. So like an Epsom salt bath, or essential oils that raise frequencies, like rose oil is really good for the higher frequencies. Just even if
Mhm.
we feel like we can't get to the next level because we're so dark and we have these dark emotions, taking a bath in Epsom salt and rose oil will automatically bring you up a notch or even more.
Mhm.
So that's the physical way to do it. On a very spiritual, metaphysical way, when we are in our joy, when we are doing something creative that we really enjoy and that we're in the flow of, the angels come. The frequency is high enough for the angels to be around you. So if you do angel work or have a desire to, and you're in your state of creativity, maybe you're a painter, dancer, singer, whatever it is, singing is a really good way to do it. In that moment, when you have the feeling that you feel a lot lighter, the angels are there with you. And then you can ask them. You can ask them. You could call in angels to help you to experience more of that and to guide you to more of that. And then the ideas and the creativity keeps flowing.
Mhm.
So when we're in our darker energies, the angels are there too, but it's harder to connect us to connect to them. They connect to us all the time. But when we raise our vibration even a little bit, we can pull them in and ask for our guidance. So the angels I'm speaking of are our guides and guardians, our spirit guides, and then any other kind of religious, non-religious, spiritual energies that you use in your life.
And so, one of my favorite ways to do that is this process we just did, where we literally just write down. Sometimes I'll write a nasty letter. Sometimes I'll write down just all the things that are, not supporting me, all the things that I'm thinking. So, depending on what I'm working on at that moment. Then what I'll do is I'll turn my page, or I'll split my page in half, and then I'll write a gratitude letter. I remind myself in that gratitude letter that I have what I dreamed about 5 years ago, that 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I dreamed of a certain life and I'm living that life that I dreamed of. And so I remind myself of the things that I was abundantly already able to manifest. I remind myself of the vision that I had that I'm living. And even if this current life maybe isn't fitting my current new vision, it doesn't mean that this isn't the life I created. And so I think when we show a little bit of gratefulness and gratitude to our younger self who created the life we're living in, then we're able to be present more. And then we're be able to say, thank you for creating and manifesting this thing. And now I can step into the next manifestation and the next thing that I'm creating, because I've now affirmed that I'm capable of manifesting, because I've affirmed what I manifested in my life that I'm currently living in, that's working for me, that's good and happy and joyful. And then I'm also calling in more of that, but I'm also reminding myself of the goodness, especially when it comes to like when you're having a rough day, when you're struggling, when you're tired, when you're feeling like the brain's continuing on in your body, and you don't have enough strength to be able to fight the two. I use this a lot when I'm really angry or pissed off at my husband, because usually it's not about him. You know, usually it's about me. Usually he's doing something that's triggering me, and maybe it used to not trigger me, or it's my hormones, or I'm bitchy, whatever. Like it's usually about me. It's not about him. So if I can write a letter about all the things he does do for me, like I had a really good friend recently hurt their arm and be told, hey, like you can't move for a week and a half. That arm has to heal or you're going to get surgery. And her husband went off to golf till 11 p.m. and left her home with two kids who had lice and needed to be dinnered and bathed
Oh,
and liced. And she has an arm.
oh my.
Well, so what did that do, right? I turned around and I'm like, I'm thankful for my husband who would never leave me if I broke my arm. right? I'm thankful that I have a husband who, when we all got lice, he sit here and he unliced all of us, right? Like I have to remind myself of the things that I see when I'm frustrated or angry or upset, because those are the things that my brain bitch is choosing to focus on, not the things that necessarily are going well or good on my life. It's just, that the brain bitch has maybe had a little too much to take over. That doesn't mean that I won't change things in my life. That doesn't mean that I won't hold my husband accountable. That doesn't mean that I might decide this isn't where I want to be, right? I want a new manifested life. But if I'm always looking to the next best thing, I'm never actually looking at what's in front of me, then I'm never honoring the fact of all that I've manifested already. So it's like I'm just running a race. And, we talked about that house behind me that's on fire and I'm running the race. Well, if I don't stop and win the race ever, then I'm just always going to feel like I'm running. So by writing a note about where I'm at, showing gratefulness and support for the things that I have, it lets me stop noticing the tiger that's coming for me, and it lets me notice the berries that are going to feed my child. It lets me notice the cave that I have that's keeping me safe from the storm. It
And so
reminds me of, the fact that I wanted to homeschool my kids 5 years ago and didn't get the chance to, and now I can. So it just brings you back to that aspect of remembering. Um, and when we show gratefulness for the things that we've created, the angels have helped us create, that God, universe, whatever has helped us create, then they want to create more with us. But when we keep running and we don't ever acknowledge, hey, ancestors and angels, thanks so much for everything you helped me create. They're like, why am I going to keep helping you create? You don't even acknowledge that we did this thing. So it
it really,
really just helps a lot of different pieces, not just the physical piece.
the core message from what you just said that I downloaded was all manifestation is done in the present moment. So being present and steady in the present moment in a way that, I mean, not to say we're not going to have negative emotions in our present moment, because that's our humanity. That's why we're here, to have yeses and nos and to figure out what those yeses and nos are for us. That's the core. But being present is where you create intentionally. So as much as you can learn to be present. For instance, my own personal example is that when I feel anxiety, I know I'm not present. I'm worried about the future. Period. I'm thinking, having no faith, no trust, and worrying. So I have a process that I do that starts to put me in the present moment. The first step is I use EFT, which is tapping. But the second step is putting my feet in the dirt, taking a bath, like the real physical things that
Mhm.
actually just call in my presence. And then the third thing I do is I do exactly what Stacy said, and I find the gratitude in what I've created and what I've manifested thus far.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because there are always things to be grateful for, even if it's just your breath,
Well, I
breathing.
think I think it's also important to remember that, we're talking about how the divine feminine lives in abundance. Well, the
Mhm,
divine feminine creates from what they receive.
mhm,
So if I'm not sitting in presence and being thankful and grateful for what I've received, for what I have, instead I'm sitting in bitterness and anger and fear and anxiety, I'm going to create more fear
more
and
bad.
bitterness and anger and anxiety.
Mhm,
So the same goes for the people in my life. If
yes,
I am creating from abundance and gratitude and thankfulness, they start reflecting that gratefulness and abundance and gratitude instead of reflecting my bitterness, my frustration, and my anger.
mhm,
And this is really important because I don't think men understand this. And so when we can share with men, hey, I meant to create a baby. If I create a baby, what happens is you give me something, love in this case. I take that love and I create 9 months a baby from that.
mhm,
Well, if I'm no longer creating a baby, then if you're giving me love, I need to create something from that love. But if all I'm experiencing is my brain bitch telling me how awful my life is, then I'm not able to create from a place of abundance. So that also brings me to, one big point, which is that we can't create from fullness. And so oftentimes, I think in hormones and everything else, we get to a place where we feel like we can't receive. and we can't receive because we got stuck in our own shit. And so again, sitting down and writing a letter of gratefulness and thankfulness of how amazing my life is and how awesome I have. It could be like I have food in my fridge.
Mhm.
I have friends who don't have food in their fridge. I can be thankful that I have food in my fridge and a roof over my head. I can be thankful that I have a business. I can be thankful that I have a man that shows up every day, not perfect, right? But I can be thankful we went and we were able to get the car that we needed yesterday, right? Like I can be thankful for these things. And when I'm thankful for these things, it turns my brain bitch down and it reminds her who she is. But then I'm also giving her all this fruit to create from.
Mhm.
I'm giving her this juicy abundance and gratefulness and thankfulness to look around and be like, oh, it rained today and my flowers needed rain,
I do that. Exact thing.
right? And so then I can say, oh, my husband brings me coffee every day. How
Yeah.
wonderful, right? I start to notice the little things that I forgot about because those little things are really the things that make a 20-year relationship, a 10-year relationship. It wasn't that we've been together 20 years. It's that for every day consistently for 20 years, you woke up and made me coffee. And so then I become softer and I'm able to receive more and I'm able to see more of the goodness. And then I receive more goodness and then I create more goodness.
So as a practice, this looks like literally you can do this for 5 minutes. And if you have the brain bitch rampant and she's giving you all the doubt, worry, pain, anger, whatever, write her words out first, like we just
Hmm.
did, and then go to let her have her voice, and then go
Yeah.
to the gratitude and write that out. 5 minutes is all you need to change the frequency.
And the
And
last thing is read
the
it out loud to
chemicals in
yourself.
well, the chemicals in your body start to change too. So this is a not this is mind, body, and spirit
Mhm.
practice. It
Yeah.
does change your emotions. It changes the physiology.
And it doesn't have to be a whole note. It can be, 5 things I'm grateful for today. But
Mhm.
it's kind of that aspect of like, if I'm in anxiety and I can say, this is what I see, this is what I feel, this is what I look like, this is what I taste, this is what I smell, I get myself out of my brain and back in my body. If I
Yeah.
sit with my paper and I write all the things I'm thankful for and abundant for and all the things that everybody does for me, right, that I take for granted even, then I'm able to sit more fully in that and then I can create from that space. And so, when I first release all that the brain bitch had to say, all this negative stuff, and then I release what I'm thankful for, it begins to let that other stuff kind of dissipate and go away. And then I can begin to solve it if I need to. I can begin to determine how I'm going to make that value better or that belief better, or how am I going to get out of debt, or how am I going to, wake up tomorrow a better day. But if I'm first coming from a drained system and a mental load that is exhausted because I'm processing, but never enjoying and having fun, then we got to first be present and get some fun stuff done.
Mhm.
And then, also when we get a new job, when we start a new business, when we get a new lover, when we get a new friend, we're excited. We want to hang out with them. We want to do fun things. Oh, I'm so excited about this thing I'm creating. I'm so excited about this chick I met, and I think she's going to be a great friend, right? Like we get excited. Well, then when I've been with her for 20 years, right? I'm like, bitch, did la 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 la. Or look at this, right? And then all of a sudden, I'm not coming from this excitement of this new thing anymore. And so, again, when we kind of can bring it back to the place of what I have, then I can look and be like, oh my God, I'm so excited about this thing I'm creating in my business 10 years later. Or
Mhm.
I can look and say, like, damn, look what I did for the last 5 years. I can start listing, look what I created, right? I created this and I did this and I built this and this flopped. Who cares, right? I still built it. This was this. Like, and so you start to see all the growth you had. It's kind of like a 12th grader who stands at graduation and been like, I did 12 years of it, right? And then we don't ever celebrate it again. So we have to kind of look and be like, look what I created, look what I did, look what I can do. And it brings you back to that excitement and that joy.
I I really do like that you brought up business, because for those listening who are creating a sacred business, there are those pieces. There are those pieces of, why am I even doing this? It seems like it's so hard, it's so much commitment. Business takes a commitment no matter what it is. Business is going to test every block you have, every place you have lack. and it's going to point those things out. And so this process really does bring you back to the present with your business, and it will initiate those feelings that you had when you first stepped out on the journey, because there's going to be those ups and downs,
Mhm.
like a
It'll also help
relationship.
you come at it like as a baby. Like if you're
Mhm,
creating new things, or like
mhm,
I know some of us in here have had businesses for a long time and now maybe they're creating a new business, like reminding yourself of your power. Look how powerful I was in my 20s to start that thing that's like literally created my whole life, right? Like these pieces of just thankfulness.
mhm.
Okay, so if you did not write them on the same piece of paper, you can always burn or bury your negative thoughts or feelings if you'd like. Also, a good practice is, like Jamie had talked about, to cross them out and write new things for them. And then, you can use your plus ones as mantras if you want, or you can use gratefulness as a mantra or the letter you're writing for a mantra. And really, what this is all about is it's about changing my brain from having so much power in the shadow and the negativity to changing my brain to reminding my brain that I'm safe. Because when we were cavemen, the amygdala hijacking fight, flight, or freeze kept me safe. It kept me safe to see when the tiger was coming. It kept me safe to know what wasn't working in this relationship and what was. It kept me safe to point out all of those things that don't work in my business. But when I bring it back to this, then I'm creating safety in all of the things I've created, and my amygdala can calm down and realize that it doesn't have to focus on the tiger, but it can focus on the berries. Okay. So, um, you can do this with anything, this practice. I love to do it with beliefs. I love to do it with values. I love to do it with just thoughts, anything. I also love to do it if I'm frustrated or upset with someone, then I will write all the things I love about them and maybe the things that I'm not loving about them so that I can get over it and roll on and not focus on those things that really are just maybe quirks or areas of growth, or maybe they're just a mirror back to myself and my own shit. That happens a lot. Uh, okay. And then, the reason that I like to do this with beliefs and values is because they can be different, but also beliefs and values come a lot from our ancestors and our family and the way we were raised. They're not often ours. And so that's why it's an important practice to do, because it also helps you determine what beliefs and values are mine and what beliefs and values were the church's and what beliefs and values were somebody else's, my mom's or my dad's or my grandpa's or my social societies, or I love the religion aspect, right? And then begin to kind of get back to the rawness of what I want to pick up. So now I can step in, oh, I want to pick up this, I want to pick up that, I want to expand in these ways and create from this space. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do is a star practice. And Katie, you may have done this before, but it'll be really good for you to go over again. And just for you, Katie, this whole divine abundance is something that is available to you. You can go do the whole manual if you really want to. We're not doing the whole thing today because we pull pieces of it for each of these circles, but it is there if you want to. Okay, so before I move on to the star, I want to mention one more quick thing, and this is a really good tool love to use, and I think all of us use credit cards. So we're not ever seeing our money going out or our money coming in. There's like a magic number that comes in and then we pay it on credit card and it goes out. And so one of the practices that I've been doing lately is just saying thank you God and universe for allowing me to buy this coffee. Thank you that I get to be able to buy this stuff for my business. Thank you that I get to be able to buy this food right now, right? Instead of being like, fuck, I just spent $600 on food again. I'm saying, oh my God, I'm so thankful I was able to buy that food today that we get to eat for the next week and a half, 2 weeks. Okay. And so then it really begins to tell your money, hey, this person likes me and they like to use me and they can use me and they can flow with it. And now I'm able to flow with my energy. I'm not looking at my bank account and saying, oh my God, I don't have any money. I'm looking at my bank account and saying, oh, I can't wait till my money comes in tomorrow, right? My bank account is just always flowing. It's always coming in and going. And I don't really have to stress about that aspect of abundance because I'm creating a foundation for myself. Okay. And I'm not going to have the budget talk. You guys can all kind of go down that realm of actually how to budget money, or if you're not for example, doing stocks and things like that as a woman. Like there's lots of stuff out there to be able to learn as a woman how to do these things. So go do them. You have no excuse to not be abundant in your own life and be able to enjoy and have just as much fun as men are having when it comes to stocks and crypto and all this business stuff that we think we don't know about. Okay, so the star is a powerful symbol. Do you want to talk about it, Jamie, or do you want me to?
Sure. Do you have the star up?
Yeah, I'm going to put it up right now.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about what it's a symbol of or anything like that first?
Sure.
Okay.
So the star is a representation of the human. And so imagine you standing with your arms out, your head up, your legs out. It's the body of the human and a sacred geometry. And so that's why the pentagram has a bad rep, but really it's not evil. It isn't negative. It's actually a representation of the human body. And so when we work with magic, uh, it's a very powerful tool, especially for doing magic around ourselves or others. I don't recommend doing magic around others ever, unless you are asked to do it and it's intentionally done with someone who you're working with closely and creating together. Um, or you've been given permission. But when you're working with the star, you're working with the representation of all the facets of you or your client, whatever. And so,
I'm going to stop share for a minute. So the first thing,
okay.
take a piece of paper and draw a star. And so I always like to kind of, go across. I like to do mine sideways instead of up and down, just because of
Uh-huh.
room. Okay.
So draw your star.
Yep. And don't automatically judge your star. Draw it and roll with it. Don't look at it and be like, that's not right, because that's not.
I always had an issue drawing stars. Another
Me
thing
too.
is if you have any negative beliefs about stars, because of the pentagram and your religious beliefs or things that, may trigger you with the star, you could think of how stars guided very holy beings to a very special event if you're Christian. How the stars, how we're all made of stardust, that at some point in this universe and in the great goodness's creation of all of us, we did come from one source, which would be, if you believe in this, God or the great goodness. And so this is a representation of all of that. Find a way to connect to it in a way that makes you feel good and trust that it's a positive, you can use it for the positive. So each area of the star represents an aspect of our life or ourselves. The top of the star is, of course, our crown chakra. Think of it that way, reaching for God or the great goodness of the universe. And it's our higher guidance, it's our clarity, it's when the spark of an idea comes in and it's divinely guided. So that's the top of the star. So you can even write that on the top, just ether or spirit or divine guidance, however you want to call that out for yourself. And then I like to go to, as I'm looking at the star to the right, and the right side is Earth. So this is the manifestation of what we've created. And I kind of like where it's located, Earth, because it's our hands. And on Earth, we're creating with our hands. We use our hands to create. So that part to the right, that arm is Earth. And then going down to the below the Earth point of the star, that is water, and that's our emotions, our community, our goals, our relationships, and our relationship with ourself too. So that's the biggest relationship, ourself and our higher power. And then going to the left on the bottom is air. So air is ideas, clarity, business ideas, creativity, and artistic pursuits. It's when we actually take the spark and create a plan, create the idea in our mind in and then also take action on it. Does that make sense? I feel like I got lost a little bit with air, but that's okay. We'll go over it again. And then fire is the one above it, so the arm to the left. And fire is our passions, our change, transmutation of energies. It's also the destructive forces of our inner workings, but it's also destruction or tearing away or setting boundaries. It's our ability to have discernment in this life and discerning what is truth and what is not truth for ourselves. So fire. And then we like to use the middle of the star to really, we use the star as a way to process a goal we may have or a feeling we may want to achieve in our future. So the middle would be that goal, whatever that is: peace, abundance, serving a million women. So whatever, it could be as specific or as general as you make it. So the middle would be what you're thinking about creating, and then the points on the star are going to help you find clarity around that inner working, that's our inner spark that we're formulating, our creative idea. Does that make sense? And it's really the emotional state once you've achieved it. So all manifestation comes from taking a minute and closing your eyes and like feeling the feelings as if it's already happened, whatever it is. So the first step for you would be in the middle of your star is to write down with the star process what you want. What is it you want to create with this? And since we're working with abundance and you did that list of things that were negative and positive values, maybe you could work with that. So why did you do that list? Was it general? Was it health? Was it abundance, money? Was it business? What was it? Put that there. And then I would ask that you take a minute to close your eyes and connect to the feeling as if it's already happened. So some people process through visuals and they can visualize their future endeavors and the things they want to create, but some people cannot. So really finding the feeling of it. Does it bring you freedom? Does it bring you joy? Does it bring you peace? Does it bring you love, excitement, whatever that feeling is, or feelings? You could write those in there too. So when you've discovered what that inner working is for you, where you're headed, I like to start at the top because this is the divine spark. This is probably your contracted inner guidance telling you this is meant for you. This is your highest timeline. So you could spend time, and please jump in, Stacey, if you have other ideas too. So spending a minute writing a few words about the clarity around it, even closing your eyes and asking, what energies do you need to fulfill it? Do you need to have an altar in your home to give it time for you to process it? Do you need to journal about it? What is your higher guidance system telling you? But close your eyes and just take a minute and breathe into it and allow the thoughts to just come, and then write them into the top of your star. Whatever words come first are usually the right ones. And it could just be a few words. And I'm going to just share mine a little bit because I think sometimes having an example helps if you've never done this before. I am working on freedom and what that means for me. That's my main goal. I think that's my main purpose here on life is freedom. And it's not just for me, it's for others that I work with and touch, my community, my clients, my friends, my family. Freedom. And so when I spent a minute to just allow words to come through for spirit, I saw being myself, my truth, showing up. Just showing up was a big, loud, like, show the fuck up. Confidence, joy, and truth. There's just a sense of like not needing a mask, because if I want freedom and I want to help others have freedom too, it's absolutely got to come from a place of honest, my truth, me showing up as my authentic self, and me being myself. And so there's a worthiness piece there. So am showing, knowing my worth. That's the other piece. So that's how that appeared for me. So just as an example.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of do the star and then sometimes I'll get like something out of it. So like for this one, after I was all done with the star, I just kept hearing trust the process, right? So I wrote that real big around my star,
Mhm.
and I'm not afraid to like fill out stuff outside of the star or not, but I
Me
mean, you
too.
can kind of see that
Me
it
too.
looks like something like this when you're done.
Yeah. Could be in, out, doesn't matter.
And I even wrote on the back, like, what do I have to do? I have to complete manuals, complete videos, complete class and academy, and I'm able to quit my muggle job. So I didn't put those on here because I'm not trying to call in my job getting fired
Yes, right. But
right
there's just
now.
a thought.
Okay. But I am saying, like, what does this look like? Well, this looks like I was able to do these. These are the things even that maybe I'm currently doing that are helping me with this, right? Because
Mhm.
my masculine is like, well, what are you doing? So if I write kind of some of the things I'm doing to call in those things, then that quiets some of my masculine because I'm much more of a divine masculine energy when it comes to the things that I do and how I do them. And that's always worked really well for me. So I often have to make sure when I'm calling in my divine feminine, how am I balancing that, right? And so I might be balancing it with telling my masculine, like, I'm already doing these things, I'm handling this, and showing her, reminding her that, hey, you're doing this. It's kind of even about that presence, right? Like, look at what you're already doing. You're calling in these things, but you're already doing them to call them in.
That
Does
makes
anyone
a
have
really
questions?
That makes a really good point about sub thoughts. So when you do this process, the sub thoughts come loud and clear. Like,
Hmm.
and sometimes they're positive, sometimes they're negative, and writing them down on a separate piece of paper is good because we're here to merge our shadow and light so that we can be whole. We don't want to not acknowledge the sub thoughts that come through because the sub thoughts are going to give us a clue as to why maybe things are not manifesting in our life. So just writing them down, giving them a voice is always good.
Yeah.
That is
And
that
here,
very masculine too.
yeah, and here at Temple of Peace, this is a process. We're going to meet for the next 4 months. And so, depending on when you came in, you're going to be working with us for 4 months in that way. If this is something where you're really feeling like, oh, a lot of these things that Cece and Jamie are saying I need support with, or I'd really like to spend more time in my light and shadow, 9 months or 13 months, going down the process of my own inner magic and really exploring what the Divine Feminine Mystery School is and exploring what metaphysical healing modalities are, then we would recommend you set up a one-on-one with Jamie and I so we can talk a little bit more about what some of our other paths may be a good option for you in terms of classes, path to priestess or professional priestess, and what we have to offer to support you in just gaining that freedom for yourself. So,
Mm.
um, thank you for being here today. We hope that you can take this process and use it. We do suggest that you take the star and work with it for a little bit. So today is the new moon. It's perfect to do for a 30-day cycle. So you can do from new moon to new moon. It's also a really good new moon to do it because this is the Aries new moon where we've got all these planets in Aries. And so this energy is really going to help you put fire to this star. So one of the things I like to do is I like to put this on my altar. I'll fill it with crystals, usually that look like a star and like the shape of a man, and I'm, a human. And I will put energy around it on my altar. Maybe offer like a candle that I light every day with it, or I might even like sometimes I'll add a crystal every day for 30 days. So I'll build the star. Sometimes I just put flowers on it. It just depends on what I happen to be working with in that season of my altar. But I do usually keep it on my altar for about 30 days and then I bury it and give it to the world, to the earth, to the trusting that whatever it is that's supposed to manifest and happen with it, it will. I have worked with these for a whole season before. I also have taken them and worked with my period blood with them, and then like wrapped them up in all these beautiful candle things and magic, and given them back to the earth. So I mean, there's many ways that you can release this in a way that feels called to you, um, and a way that feels, powerful to you. I don't like always do it in that way. It just depends on what I'm calling it.
And then the reason why we're not allowing ample time during this meeting to do the star work because it really does take time. For me, I'm probably going to continue with the spirit part. And then tomorrow I'll do a little bit more. And then I'll just, over the next 30 days, is probably how I'm going to work with it. And then, like Stacy said, if you, for instance, for me, I like to use, I'll probably put seeds on here that I want to plant, flowers or whatever, flower seeds. And when I'm ready to bury it, which I will, I'll bury it with the seeds and I'll water it and nurture it because I want it to grow. And it doesn't matter if it grows or not, it's still growing energetically.
Yeah. The last thing I would mention is I don't put manifesting or joyful or abundant magic in the same place that I will put release magic. So if I were to take this paper that I wrote all my nasty stuff on and burn it and then
Yeah.
release it to the ground, I'm not releasing that in the area of my outside area of my house in the same area that I'm releasing my manifesting. So I have a fairy garden that I put all my manifesting magic in. Anything that I'm wanting to release of my magic that is manifestation, joy, calling in, I put in my fairy garden. Anything that I'm releasing or letting go, I have an area in my woods that is kind of like a dead area. I'm not going to kill any plants with salt because sometimes I used to have an area where I killed all the plants with all my magical salts. So I try to have an area, that's like dead. I'm not going to kill a tree or something. And that will be where I put all of my shadow magic and things that I'm releasing, but I don't ever put them in the same place. So it's just good to know that you don't want to, I mean, you could, but I don't want to mix my shadow with my calling in. So I release my shadow somewhere else and I call in a place that is beautiful that I'm looking at and I'm working with. Like I see my fairy garden every day when I walk into my house and my little one loves to play in there. And so it's got a lot of maiden energy and it's got a lot of good juju. If any of my crystals break, I also put them in that fairy garden. And so they can just continue to, give their juju out there because they're no longer good for me because they broke they've worked for me for what they've done. So all right. Well, hopefully you had a good time today on our Mother of Abundance. Katie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
Our
you.
next session is May 2nd. That's going to be to celebrate May Day, so it should be exciting. And then next week, we also do have hot seat coaching on Tuesday night. So if you are wanting a little support or you want to learn a little bit more about yourself in a coaching manner, that's what we're opening it up for. It is group sessions, not one-on-one, so you can come. If you're the only one there, you can get an hour hot seat coaching session with Jamie and I. And if you're not, then, even if you don't know if you need it or you're not sure if it's something that will benefit you, we always recommend you show up. You can show up with the camera off and just observe if you want. But really, you don't have to be ready to go for anything that we provide. If you show up, then I promise the energy will help you feel more ready to show up in other spaces. I think sometimes in these spaces we're like, oh, I'm not ready to show up. I'm not ready in whatever way. But if you show up just as you are, then you'll leave with something.
It's so good when you just show up as you are.
Yeah.
I promise you'll benefit from it.
Yes, I
I will
think
be
so,
there.
Katie.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank
Thanks for
you,
coming today,
Katie.
Katie. This was nice.
Thank you. That was incredible.